What's up? It's the College Football Hangover podcast on I Live for Saturdays, the best college football channel on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at I Live for Saturdays. 4 as in the number 4. I'm here with the big O, Omar.
What's up? Ready to talk about some power conferences, the top 5 power conferences in America.
So let's just get right into it. ACC. What do you think about next year? How do you see them progressing, Omar?
I see a lot of teams progressing in the ACC next year. I see Clemson as a big progressing team this year. Florida State, another one. I see Duke has a really good head coach. I really like Duke.
Yeah.
I love their head coach.
Duke's has David Cutcliffe. Duke has obviously restrictions in how they recruit, kind of like Notre Dame, except they're not a big name like Notre Dame in the football world at least. But Cutcliffe has done a really good job, and he's going to continue making a good program. What do I want to say? A program that's always going to compete in every game they play in. And I think they've done a great job over there. Florida State, though. Florida State's a big year for them without Jameis Winston. Can they do it? Can Jimbo Fisher do it without a great, huge star quarterback? Obviously, they're always going to have a good quarterback because they're Florida State. They recruit great, but, we'll see what Jimbo does.
Yeah. I think another team I should look for is Georgia Tech next year.
Yeah.
I know you like them.
Yeah, that is my dark horse for next year is Georgia Tech. I think Paul Johnson's finally figured out how to beat the big teams with the option. They're a lot faster than they've ever been. And, Omar, what do we always say? How do you beat the option?
Speed.
With speed. You beat them with speed, but I think they're just as fast now. So, if Paul Johnson can get the recruiting ways going, Georgia Tech can really be dangerous. And I think they're my dark horse for the playoff next year. So, let's get into the Big Ten next. Omar, Big Ten teams, how do you see them?
Oh, man. Is the Big Ten going to be exciting to watch next year?
Yeah,
that's going to be exciting. Obviously, the defending national champions, Ohio State, have Urban Meyer, the best head coach in the country. Michigan, they should be really excited right now with Jim Harbaugh, new head coach. And, that's going to be exciting to watch for the next, hopefully, for a long time, Jim Harbaugh versus Urban Meyer. Maybe the next 10-year war.
Yeah. Bringing back the old days of Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler, man. It's going to be great. I can't wait. I'm really excited about it. Even this year is going to be great because it's Michigan and Ohio State, man. They put everything on the line in every Ohio State-Michigan game.
Yeah.
So, and then now you have Jim Harbaugh. So it's going to be great. I can't wait for that game. But let's get into really quickly Wisconsin, man. I feel so bad for Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
They lose Bielema. Then they bring in a new coach. He leaves after 2 years, and he did a great job. Now they get a brand new coach. They're losing a bunch of starters. Wisconsin, I don't know. I just don't know where they're going in terms of success for next year. I know in the future they're going to be great because Wisconsin athletics is incredible. Mm-hmm. They really love their sports, and they really invest in their sports.
Great athletic director.
Yeah. So, Penn State, James Franklin, they're always going to be good. Minnesota's getting their athletes. Minnesota is getting athletes from gentrification from Chicago. Minnesota with Jerry Kill, they're going to be great. I think they're always going to compete, going to continue to get 9-win seasons. Nebraska, you got Mike Riley now instead of Bo Pelini. I think honestly it's the same exact thing.
They'll still get 9-10 wins.
Yeah, they're going to be around there at 9-10 wins, and they're always going to compete. So Big Ten, they're good now. They're pretty good. They got good coaching. And it's always been that. I think what makes your conference, it's not necessarily the recruiting talent or the talent that you sit on. It's mostly about the coaching. Mm-hmm. Because those great coaches are always going to bring in great players.
They got some good coaches in the Big Ten.
Urban Meyer's bringing in Florida kids.
Yeah.
And Jim Harbaugh's going to bring any kid he wants because he's Jim Harbaugh. So that should be great. So, next team.
Big Ten?
Big 12.
So, Big 12.
Okay, we're just we're looking at the board and Omar can't read. My little brother, it's okay.
You said team.
He's got I know I said team, but you know what I meant. He's got a mental issue. It's okay though. So yeah, Big 12 next. Omar, Big 12 teams.
Well, obviously Oklahoma's always going to be, they'll always be in the top 10 somewhere in the season. And you hate to see them mess it up as often as they do.
Yeah.
I hate to see Oklahoma mess up. Because you really think like, wow, like Oklahoma, like every year you just think like Oklahoma, like this is the year they're going to have it all together. And that's what I remember you of all people, you thought this was last season, this is the year Oklahoma's going to have it together. They're not going to mess up. They
mess up, but they ran into a really good team, TCU. And TCU's another great Big 12 team, which I thought was down and out. And I thought, you know what, they just could not make the transition from the non-BCS schools to the major Power 5 conferences. But they obviously showed everybody with their incredible speed and just talent overall how good they are. And they didn't win the Big 12, but they whooped Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl, got a title, got themselves a big trophy for them. Huge for that program. But next team, what do you think? The last team? Who do you think has got a good shot at the Big 12?
With Kent State? Yeah, Baylor. But I was going to say Kansas State.
Yeah. Bill Snyder's incredible.
Bill Snyder is he's everything that a coach should be is what Bill Snyder is.
He is. And
the epitome of a coach.
He is. He really is. He's incredible. And I went to go see in the Alamo Bowl. Wow, I pronounced that really wrong probably. Probably sounds terrible to the viewers, to the listeners. But went to the game against UCLA, and before the game, UCLA just looked so much more athletic, so much more superior than Kansas State. You could see it in warm-ups. It was clear. UCLA comes out, and they take a huge lead. They pretty much walked away with the game. But Kansas State, because Bill Snyder is a goddamn wizard, he just makes things happen and calls plays or says something inspirational. I don't know what the hell he does and does voodoo or something.
Pulls tricks out of the bag.
Yeah, but they end up losing, I think, the game only by 5 points. Bill Snyder's great, and Kansas State is always going to compete. But my team was Baylor, obviously. Baylor is always going to be great, and they sit in Texas. They got an incredible offense. They got an incredible fan base now. Now, not always, but now. They got a new stadium. I think Baylor's got the best momentum at any Big 12 team. So, next conference, Pac-12. And we're going to get to the SEC. We're going to get to the SEC, okay? It's the biggest damn segment, so don't get too antsy. If you want, you can fast forward. But we're going to go quickly to the Pac-12. It's arguably the best conference right now. So we're going to go Pac-12. Omar, Pac-12, start it off.
Well, obviously Oregon. They're always going to have a really good team out there to compete, especially nowadays. Now that they're a brand. They're fine, over the past 2 years, I want to say. I'm not going to say farther than 2 years, but now the last 2 years, they're a brand. They appeal to young players. Young players right now who are in 8th grade. The biggest team in America besides Alabama is Oregon.
And Ohio State. But yeah, Oregon. But actually, you know what?
Brand name.
In terms of brand, Oregon's probably the biggest team. They're the most popular team, I should say, in young kids.
Among it's like a pop culture thing almost.
Yeah, it's a new cool thing to be an Oregon fan.
Yeah.
So, Oregon's always going to be great. We can have a whole video about Oregon. But now, the Pac-12, I think the Pac-12 teams are really on the rise. Obviously, the Arizona school, Rich Rod, Todd Graham are doing a great job out there.
Great job.
And Steve Sarkisian and Jim Mora bringing back the SoCal kids, bringing back the LA kids, keeping them home. They're going to be great. The sanctions are off USC. I can't wait USC versus UCLA for at least these next 2 years. I hope next 2 years Jim Mora stays, but it should be great.
It's been a year, 4 seasons without USC being USC. It's been really weird.
Yeah,
I think so.
For sure.
You need that USC. You need there's 4 corners of America, and every corner has a huge team, pretty much almost. Ohio State in the Midwest, down south, Alabama, the West has to be USC.
Yeah. And I think college football needs USC. And I'm honestly, I used to hate USC as a kid, but honestly, I miss them. And college football needs that villain. They need a dynasty. They need a great team like USC. And USC coming back is great. Washington, you got Washington. We're having Chris Peterson. They're going to be great. Pac-12 is in a great shape right now. Washington State has Mike Leach. They're always going to compete because they're always going to put 50 points a game.
Really bright future. The whole
Pac-12,
for my coach.
arguably the best conference in the country, and they did an incredible job last year. So we're gonna go to the last team in the SEC, and in this video, I'm sure it's gonna be called SEC Decline. The SEC Decline started in 2003 during the Sugar Bowl. 2000 what? Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. 2013 during the Sugar Bowl, Louisville versus Florida, where you saw possibly overhyped Florida team go against an underrated Louisville team with an NFL quarterback. And at that time, I said there's an SEC decline, and it's pretty clear. That was the first year with Texas A&M and Missouri, correct?
Yep. Very first year.
And Texas A&M went in and kicked the SEC's butt with Johnny Manziel. Missouri at the time wasn't Missouri yet. But you could see there was a bunch of factors in the way. Notre Dame was going to be in the national championship game. Brian Kelly, also another guy who did magic and voodoo to get a team that really wasn't all that talented into a national championship game. And then you have Florida State. You could see they were on the rise. Clemson was on the rise. The Pac-12 was on the rise. The Big 12 is always going to be the Big 12. We talked about that, how they're always going to be the Big 12. Urban was at Ohio State.
That was his first year at Ohio State.
It was his first year
Went
at
12 and 0.
And you could just see, and then at that time also was, I think, a year before that, I said 3 years from now, Boise State's going to come back because there was a weird graduation, kids coming in,
really
flux.
Just a bad timing.
Yeah, it was really bad timing with Boise State. They were going to have only 8 starters coming back for like 3 years, but through the classes, and knowing Boise State is an incredible program, they were going to be back in a few years. So you could see Boise State, all these factors, you put them all in on top of that game, and you saw that game, you could see the SEC was on a decline. And then it started falling apart. Missouri ended up winning the East and going to the championship game 2 years in a row. And ever since that game also, 1-6 in major bowl games, Omar.
2013.
Since 2013,
1-6.
the SEC teams are 1-6 in BCS and playoff committee bowl games.
Wow. I mean, if, the way people really view the SEC, that's really unacceptable. Yeah. In the terms of how people, view the SEC as being this unstoppable conference where every team could, play for the national championship game, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly always been a myth. I think when we both said the SEC is the best conference in the country by far.
By far, no doubt.
No, I don't want to say by far.
But
I think it's clear. It's clear that they're the best.
It's the best.
It is the best. But you can't discredit what other teams do because they're not, quote unquote, in the SEC. You can't do that. You have to look at all the teams and individually, and can they play as a team? Are they elite? Do they have NFL players? Do they have quality wins? That's all that matters at the end of the day. Can they play football? Is their football fun to watch? Are they good teams? Do they win? So I never liked the SEC narrative and only talk about SEC. I know we're talking about the SEC, but that's just because it's interesting. So, that's pretty much it. Oh, actually, we'll get a little really quickly SEC. What do you see next year, Omar, about the SEC teams?
Well, obviously Alabama. I could see Auburn making a big climb next year for the SEC West. We'll see how Mississippi State does. I like Dak Prescott. I like him. He's like a poor man's Tim Tebow, which is still really, really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like Dak Prescott. I could also see I was just thinking about them. I could also see Ole Miss. They'll probably be They'll be healthiher than they were last year. Last year they had some pretty key injuries.
But you see what you're saying right now. If you look at what you're saying all SEC West teams.
Right.
All these SEC East teams. I don't know where they stand. Where Missouri is your best team. And you can't deny it, SEC teams. Missouri is your best team. And Missouri is a good team. But right now, the SEC where it stands is not in a good standing. You can't, as an SEC fan, you can't be rooting and waving the pom poms of the SEC and saying you're clear number one and no other football matters, because it's just not true. But I see next year. I like Georgia to win the East, which I think is everyone's pick every year. But for the most part, I think Alabama is the clear favorite, and they're my favorite for the championship next year to win it all. So that's just pretty much what we thought about all these conferences. This is our first video. I will do an NFL draft. Omar won't be here. Omar's going out of town. But I will do an NFL draft with someone else. So that's about it. This is the College Football Hangover podcast. Follow us on Twitter at I Live for Saturdays. And Omar, say goodbye to the folks.
Deuces.
Peace.